Francis I of France, 1494 to 1547, was one of the most iconic monarchs of Renaissance Europe. King of France from 1515 until his death in 1547, his reign was marked by intense rivalry with Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor, territorial expansion, conflicts with Italy, cultural patronage, and the political and religious changes that were transforming the continent. His figure represents a conjunction of the medieval chivalric ideal with the modern spirit of the Renaissance. Francis was born on September 12, 1494, at the Château de Cognac. He was the son of Charles d'Orléans, Count of Angoulême, and Louise of Savoy. He was not initially destined for the throne, but the death of his cousin Louis XII without sons made him the heir apparent. At the age of 20 in 1515, Francis ascended the throne of France after the death of Louis XII. He soon demonstrated an ambitious, charismatic character and a love of art, culture, and war. One of his first actions as king was to continue his expansionist policy in Italy, a key arena for French aspirations since the reign of Charles VIII. In September 1515, barely crowned, he crossed the Alps with a powerful army and defeated the Swiss forces at the Battle of Marignano near Milan. This victory allowed him to seize the Duchy of Milan and consolidate his position as a dominant figure in northern Italy. The campaign was so significant that Pope Leo X himself recognized Francis's military skill, and he came to be seen as a major player in European politics. However, his dominance in Italy did not go unchallenged. Throughout his reign, Francis had a long and bitter rivalry with Charles V, Holy Roman Emperor and King of Spain. Both monarchs aspired to control Europe and, particularly, Italy, which led them to engage in multiple wars for more than 3 decades. One of the most dramatic moments of this rivalry occurred in 1525 at the Battle of Pavia, when Francis's army was defeated by imperial forces and he himself was captured. He was taken to Madrid as a prisoner and, from there, signed the Treaty of Madrid in 1526, in which he renounced his claims to Italy and ceded the Duchy of Burgundy to Charles V. However, after his release, Francis refused to comply with the agreement, claiming he had been forced to sign it. This betrayal reignited the war and consolidated the enmity between the two monarchs. During his reign, Francis first sought to counter the power of Charles V through strategic alliances. In a bold move for the time, he established an alliance with the Ottoman Empire, led by Suleiman the Magnificent, an enemy of Charles V. This unusual collaboration between a Christian monarch and a Muslim sultan scandalized Europe, but was effective in weakening the emperor. Francis also maintained a diplomatic relationship with Henry VIII of England, although this alliance was volatile and often opportunistic. Beyond his foreign and military policies, Francis is first remembered as the great patron of the French Renaissance. Fascinated by art, literature, and science, he attracted numerous artists and intellectuals to his court. One of his greatest cultural achievements was inviting Leonardo da Vinci to France in 1516, where the Italian genius spent the last years of his life. Francis acquired several of his works, including the famous Mona Lisa, which is still housed in the Louvre Museum. Under his reign, the Château de Chambord was built as a showcase of Renaissance splendor. The Château de Fontainebleau was remodeled to become one of Europe's most important cultural centers. Francis also founded the Collège de France in 1530, an academic institution independent of the clergy, dedicated to the study of the humanities and sciences, which still exist today. In the religious sphere, Francis initially maintained an ambiguous position regarding the Protestant Reformation initiated by Martin Luther in 1517. Although he presented himself as a defender of the Catholic faith, he also initially protected humanist and reformist thinkers, such as Erasmus of Rotterdam and William Bude. However, after the Fair of the Cupboards in 1534, an episode in which posters attacking the Catholic Mass appeared in several cities, including on the king's bedroom door, Francis hardened his stance and began a policy of repression against Protestants, although without breaking with Rome as Henry VIII had done in England. Francis died on March 31st, 1547, in Rambouillet, leaving the throne to his son, Henry II. His death marked the end of an era of artistic splendor and great dynastic conflicts. He was buried in the Basilica of Saint Denis, the pantheon of French kings. The legacy of Francis I is vast. He was a warrior monarch, cultured and contradictory. His vision of royal power as a source of both political and cultural authority helped consolidate the absolute monarchy in France. He promoted the arts and education as tools of prestige and control, while navigating a world divided by religion, imperialism, and new discoveries. Francis was not only the first truly Renaissance king of France, but also a symbol of a Europe in transition, between the Middle Ages and modernity, between faith and reason, between the sword and the pen. If you want to know other interesting stories, you can follow my YouTube channel, Frank Fernandez Historia.